Welcome, and today topic is Angular NgModule. So Angular apps are modular, and Angular has got its own modular system called NgModule. In Angular framework tells that so we must use that NgModule to group set of code to make it as a functional module. That is that the NgModule collects the related code to a functional module. So let's discuss about this. So what is the ng module, and then how we define a scope of ng module, and then how what is the compilation context of how we make visible some of the components to the other module, so that it it can imports those modules can import those selected components to that from this ng module. And then uh, we discuss about bootstrap mechanism, and then we discuss about how to make one class as a one functional module. So it's a ng module. And so Angular apps are modular, and Angular has got its own modular system called NgModule. This NgModule collects the related code to make a functional module. That means that NgModule are containers for cohesive block of code. So that each so every app has at least one ng module class, that is root module. So every Angular application must have one has its at least one ng module. Even the application has one screen and one component. So to be execute to load that component onto the page, so that must be in the scope of one ng module. So application, it bootstrap that root ng module, and then it launch that main component, and then it loads that components view onto the page. So ng modules are containers for cohesive block of the code. So if we want to group that related components and services to a one group, and that group we as a functional module, so that that will be done through ng module. So those components must be in the scope of that particular module, so that that ng module will contains the code of the services, related services, components, and other code files. That is that scope of components and service providers and code files is defined by the ng module. So we define it in a as a property metadata of that ng module, that the module contains the to what components and services and the pipes or directives. So in that container, so we define the particular component scope into the ng module. So within the scope, so every component must be a to load onto the page. We to components it's the components view to load onto the page, that must be scoped under one ng module, that is defined in the metadata of that ng module. So that is import functionality that is exported from other ng module. So ng module, it imports that Angular framework libraries modules, which is required by the components, so that we import, and then we provide that imported modules the property of imports of metadata, so that and the components which are in the scope of ng module can import those library modules. So And not only that, it can import the module or parts of the module from other ng module, export selected components to use by other ng modules. So this ng module is a container. That container have the elements, so that components, so that components we can make visible to the other ng module by defining it in as a property, exports property in the metadata of ng module metadata, so that so visible to the other module, so that other modules can import these selected components. So ng module is a compilation context of that application. So every application have a one root module, and that root module will be bootstrapped while Angular app is launched, and then it bootstraps the main component that is defined in the metadata property of bootstrap. That components will be loaded onto the first as a first phase. So so every application has one root ng module, so that the ng module is a compilation context of that application, compilation context of that application. So the whichever the code which is in the scope of that ng module, that is only available for that Angular application. So this is app module. By default, Angular creates the root module as a app module, and that is the root module. So that module is decorated with the ng modules. So any module, any class which is decorated with the ng module, that we call it as a n module, one module. So so that ng module, Angular, we tells the Anglers that what what are the related components for this functional module. So that can be done by the properties of metadata properties. The Angular framework provides us that properties metadata of ng module, that is declarations and imports and providers and exports and bootstrap. So the app is annotated with the ng module, so that it is the functional module, and this is the context of comparison context of that ng module. And within the ng module, what are the components, the function depends on the functionality, that function the related components and services, directives and other code files must be scoped within this that particular functional module. So that is done by declarations. So whichever the components is given under the declaration property, those components are scoped into this that particular ng module that imports. So ng module imports the Anglo framework libraries which is needed by the components is defined in the scope of this ng module. So that imports and declared under the metadata property of imports, so that it is so that it is in that ng module container, so that it's the other components can import those modules or parts of that module. And also we can import the selected components as our modules from other modules which are exported. So that also we can do, and that need to be those modules or modules must be defined in the imports, so that it's available for components which are scoped in this ng module. So providers is a create instances for services, and that singleton instance is is injected into the components by dependency injection. So whichever the components is dependency on the service, so NgModule provides this instance injected that same instance to the all the components are declared under in this ng module. So the provide the service instance can also provides at component level, so that's so each component has will have one instance of the service, and that same instance will be injected to the child components. And so that instance is same instance for only that component, and then child component. So other components will have a other instance. But if it is provided at ng module, that in service instance it creates instance, that same instance will be injected through dependency injection in the dependencies of the component. Exports. So if would like to export certain components so that to make visible to the another module, so we declare it under the property metadata property of this ng module exports, so that it is visible to the another uh, uh, visible to the other ng module, so that those modules can export these selected components. So bootstrap properties tells that while launching application, so which is the main component view that has to be loaded onto the page. So the bootstraps that app component and loads the respect corresponding view onto the page. So while launching the application, it launches the bootstrapped module. In this case, app module is the bootstrapped module, and it launched the main component that is provided in the bootstrap property, a metadata property of ng module. That component instantiate that component and loads that main component onto the page. So these are all about ng modules. The ng modules are to create a functional module within an Angular application. So ng module, the root ng module is the actually compilation context of that application. So whichever the components are declared or import declared uh, under the property of declaration, those components only available for that and Angular application. Bootstrap is app component, that is the main component under that main view. So under that main view, it comes under the sub views. So other components can be loaded through template or through rotor modules. So that is not included here in rotor module. So these are all about the ng module. So ng module to group the related code to make it a functional module, and that is the compilation context. So whatever the code within this ng module, that code only available to run that particular functional module. So that's the end of uh, about the ng module.